I've, F/29, started dating someone far more attractive, M/31, help, we've been dating for 3 weeks. Too early to know exactly where it's going, but so far he's been openly enthusiastic. I haven't felt this nervous in years. Obviously I know he's not perfect and I'm keeping an eye on that side of things too, as it's easy to get swept away. He's very attractive, well-spoken, well-read, open about his interest but not overdoing it. Fantastic kisser. We're in the same industry and have similar life plans. Lots in common as far as interests. Hell, even similar ugly duckling stories. He's been super respectful anytime I mention a boundary of sorts. I have a few as my last long-term relationship was quite abusive. Luckily my ex has been out of my life for 2 years. I haven't mentioned my ex yet, just vague things like oh do you mind not surprising me from behind? I'm a bit jumpy. This isn't my first time dating since my ex and I have plenty of positive dating experiences from before him too. I really shouldn't feel so almost starstruck. I just feel like a teenager again. Half the time I don't know what to say, I'm so flustered. How do I get my nervousness under control and just enjoy the moment? If this doesn't work out I'll be fine. I'm not so worried about my heart so much as trying to act like myself and less struck on dates. Too long didn't read, met an awesome guy. Obviously trying to keep my head, but how do I stop losing my thoughts and wit while we're talking? Edit. Wow, I was not expecting so many responses. Thanks all, it's great hearing stories of folks in similar situations, as well as some tips and tricks I can use to stay appropriately excited. Really appreciate the kindness shown. Edit 2, I should have phrased it like I'm not used to being so attracted to someone. I'm quite confident in myself and his interest. But that doesn't help me when he does something very goofy and charming and I'm a bit lost in how attractive he is. The limerence is strong, haha. All the same the answers have been super lovely and encouraging. You don't. Stay happy and giddy. Smile and enjoy. He may find it endearing. You'll get comfortable soon enough. In the meantime, have fun. Just remember looks always fade, bonds are stronger than that sometimes. My dyslexia kicked in and misread that as boobs are stronger. Had a good chuckle. I am also an Uruk-hai dating a drop-dead gorgeous model material stunner. This is new relationship energy, bask in it. Just remember when your self-esteem drops off a cliff that this man is into you. That's his problem. He's allowed to decide to be attracted to you, and you gotta let him. That is all. It's taken me 3 years to get to this point and I've needed a lot of validation from him, but it's so worth it. Remember how great you thought your ex was in the beginning? Allow that hindsight to dial your feelings and expectations back to something more reasonable. Stop overthinking. He's into you. Be you. If he doesn't like what that looks like, well it wasn't going to go anywhere. One of my 26F guy friends, 32M, keeps hitting on all my female friends at any function I invite him to and it's starting to creep me and my friends out. My boyfriend and I have a friend we've known for a couple years and I've always thought was a pretty cool guy. He has always been really kind and fun to be around. He never gave me creepy vibes or talked about guy things in front of me until recently. We've hosted a couple small get-togethers this year and it's becoming apparent that he will repeatedly hit on my female friends and ask them for their numbers, regardless of any reciprocation from them. And I know they are not reciprocating because if they were interested, they'd give them their numbers themselves. He then asks me for their number and obviously I wouldn't give out anyone's information unless they asked me to. My question is, how should I approach this behavior? Do I ignore it and just stop inviting him to events where there will be single women? Or should I bring it up to him? Too long didn't read. My guy friend keeps hitting on all my female friends to the point where I don't even want him around them and I'm not sure if I should call him out or stop associating with him. Your friend is on his way to become a missing stare, if he isn't already one. Google that term if you want to read more. particularly on Captain Awkward's blog. What makes a missing stare even worse, above and beyond their own behavior, is how other people enable it to continue or otherwise do not address it with the missing stare person. It's not actually dealt with, other people are warned to avoid the missing step, but no one actually does anything about the step. At best, people are uncomfortable and choose to stop coming around when the missing stare is there, which is still not a good scenario for you or anyone else. But there can also be dire consequences when the missing stare continues their behavior, creeping on those who don't stay out of their orbit. Definitely talk to him about it. You thought he was a cool guy, and maybe he is, just one who doesn't understand the boundaries he's crossing, at 32 years old, and will adjust his behavior once he's made aware. And if he isn't a good guy, you need to know that instead of giving him an ambiguous benefit of the doubt and subjecting your social circle to him, go to Captain Awkward and read letters 323 and 324, you've got a creepy dude to the power of TM on your hands, and she can help with that. Also, this guy is your group's missing stare. Go search Povocracy missing stare. You make very clear what your boundaries are here and you stick to them, no matter how self-pitying his whining. Tell him the unvarnished truth and lay out what your expectations are from here on out. He gets to decide whether not being creepy is worth his while or not, and you get to kick him from the group if he decides it isn't. Also, why has his comfort been prioritized over that of the women in your group? Something to think about. Why has his comfort been prioritized over that of the women in your group? I love Captain Awkward for calling that out. Guy can be as awful as he likes, and oh, maybe he's just awkward. But anxious, awkward girls are expecting to navigate their creepiness with perfect grace. Definitely talk to him about it. Just let him know the behavior is inappropriate, and if it continues he will no longer be invited to things. Make sure to let him know what the problem is though. You can't expect him to improve his behavior if he is not aware it is a problem. I would say something like, hey, I feel like you've been hitting on people at my parties. Is that accurate / true / the case? Okay. Well, I'd like you to stop / be more aware. It's made a couple people uncomfortable. If someone likes you, I promise I will put you in touch with them, so just chill a little on the flirting. Your friend may just be trying to be friendly and it's coming off wrong. They might also be feeling depressed and desperate for a partner. Or they might be a creep. Edit, ooh Silver. Don't think that's happened before. Smile. Glad to help, especially as someone who used to be very awkward, a little depressed and desperate, but now feels comfortable advocating for healthy behavior and we loved. Smile. If he's your friend, you tell him what's going on. Be blunt with him. Maybe he doesn't know what he's doing. It would be kind of a jerk move to not say anything if he's your friend. Friends talk it out. If he keeps doing it, tell him you're going to stop inviting him to things. Be mature about it and talk to him. Google the missing stare. You have a responsibility to protect people from him. I'd cut him out of my life quick and cold if I thought having a direct conversation about his behavior wouldn't be productive. But those are your only real choices. Ask him to change and he does. Or cut him out of your life now or when he doesn't change. My GF, 26F, for almost a year keeps putting herself in situations that push the limits of my 30M. Trust. My girlfriend and I have been together officially for 7 months, but unofficially for over a year. She lives about an hour away with her parents. She bought the house and her parents pay the mortgage, so generally we only see each other on weekends. First off, I have dated a pathological liar in the past. It got bad, so I already have trust issues with partners. With my current GF, I have heard her tell small lies to her parents about where she's going, what she's doing, and I always wonder why she can't just tell them the truth. She's an adult. She also has a lot of trouble with eye contact in general, so it makes it hard to tell if she's ever lying or just having trouble keeping eye contact sometimes. She struggles to maintain eye contact with me a lot of the time. I'm not sure if this is another problem or not. Anyways, on to the issue. My GF has mostly male friends. She says it's because she comes from a male-dominated field and that she just gets along better with guys. I don't have a problem in general with her having more male friends than female friends. but she also acts very naive to the reason why many of these guys are talking to her. She's also very insecure and, in all honesty, I think is seeking validation from these people. This led to our first fight. A couple months ago she had planned to go visit family during some time off she had in the holidays, but because of COVID she cancelled that. Then, she started bringing up going to visit this guy she knew in Florida. I guess they had been texting/Snapchatting and talking about her coming down. Thing is, she never really was friends with this guy until recently, and they are friends basically online. He lives in Florida, so their friendship has developed via social media, texting, etc. I didn't say anything at first because I didn't want to cause problems, but it did bother me. Around the same time, she was dog-sitting a couple days by herself, i.e., staying at someone else's place while they are gone to watch their dog, and she starts posting stories on Snapchat with a nice meal, wine, etc., and on one Snapchat she showed one random guy cooking in the kitchen. Her subsequent snaps, however, only showed her meal, not both of their meals, like she was trying to act like she was eating by herself. She didn't mention anything to me about having a friend over to cook. I asked her about it, and she said that a friend from college had been posting his steak dinners on Snapchat, and she thought it looked good, so they ended up making a steak dinner together and going on a walk along the river. I bring up to her that I'm uncomfortable with this because 1/ she's hanging out with new, random people during COVID, and 2/ what's she doing hanging out with a guy one-on-one making a nice dinner. It sounded like a date. She basically told me that they cooked steak together, had wine, and at some point, she found out he was interested in her, but she shut it down because she wasn't interested in him. That whole situation caused our first fight, as she didn't even mention she was hanging out with a guy one-on-one to me, and he obviously was interested in her. I asked her why she thought that was appropriate and got the "well you should just trust me" response, which did not help at all. So, we came very close to breaking up after that, but I wanted to give it another shot. She never did end up going down to Florida. Fast forward to this past weekend. GF and I are supposed to hang out the whole weekend, but last minute she says one of her friends, a female, wants GF to come with her to go out of town with two guys who are shooting a rap music video. GF's friend had a prior relationship with one of the guys, and I, not being an idiot, knew that this situation was likely going to end up with the friend hooking up with the guy, and my GF being left in an awkward situation. I told her that it was a risk because of COVID. GF and I are supposed to take a trip together for New Year's, but it was ultimately up to her. She ended up going on the trip. She says her friend convinced her to go. I ask if she even knows these other two guys, and she says no, but she probably won't even hang out with them very much because she's trying to be safe. Well, you can guess what happened. The last night they were there, they end up getting really drunk. GF is posting stories of them all doing shots together, dancing, etc. And there are more than the 4 people in these stories. What happened to being safe? GF messages me completely drunk around midnight. I message back asking if she's okay, and then I don't hear back until morning. She calls me the next morning, and says she blacked out and doesn't remember the end of the night, sketchy, and that she ended up sleeping in the other bed of the Airbnb because her friend and the guy hooked up in their bedroom. It was a 1-bedroom Airbnb. Girls were supposed to be in the bedroom, but there was a second bed and couches out in the living room. She said she slept in that bed alone, unprompted. I didn't ask her this. I'm assuming the other guy slept on the couch. These types of situations just push my trust to the boundaries. I knew what was going to happen before she even went on the trip, and either she was too naive or just didn't think I would understand what might happen. Maybe she thought by telling me that she wouldn't even talk to the other people that much before the trip, it would make me feel better, even though it would be another small lie. Also, she normally doesn't get that drunk, so the fact that she blacked out might be an indication that she wanted to have an excuse in case she did something she would regret. It just makes me uncomfortable, but I feel like if I say anything she will say, well, you should just trust me again. I don't feel like my GF understands what trust and communication in a relationship looks like, and she assumes trust is just a given. However, these instances are making me seriously doubt our compatibility. Especially because if she's doing this during COVID, maybe she will be worse after COVID. She doesn't think any of the things she is doing are odd. Conversely, I would never find myself in the situations she gets into. Any advice about how to discuss with her or proceed would be helpful. Too long didn't read. GF has put herself in situations, naively or otherwise, with other people, mostly men, that make me uncomfortable and trust her less.